All right, what up, y'all? It's your boy Prez. Let's try this thing out. A little bit of bonus draft content. So, we're going to do a series of videos. I can't promise how regular they're going to be, but they're on different little things that interest me and how they relate to this draft class. This is separate from Draft Strickland. You can find this stuff on YouTube and probably repost it on Twitter. Things like micro skills, things that jump out about certain prospects or certain young Knicks and how it relates to certain prospects. This video in particular is about athleticism and closeout speed, closeout attacking speed to be specific. One of the things that I started doing this year to evaluate the athleticism of prospects is look at how they deal with attacking closeouts off the catch. Are they fast enough to get the ball in the 3-point line with a legit defender flying at them and then attack the hoop, right? You need to be athletic to do that in the NBA. We saw it with Evan Fournier. He was not athletic enough when we had him last year, despite his talents, to attack closeouts. His solution, because he's an incredible shooter, was shooting corner fading threes, but most players can't do that. Most players have to do what we see from Quentin Grimes here. The fake closeout. We know this is one of his jams, right? He loves attacking closeouts and then just blowing by a defender, drawing two to the ball, and then passing. He arguably passes too much, right? So this is just how it is. Excuse the wonkiness of that particular video, but you see it, right? Like, this is a good way to judge athleticism, especially for shooting prospects, because it's no longer good enough to just play defense and stand in the corner as a 3-point shooting prospect role player in the NBA. You got to be able to do a little something off the dribble. When you're catching it in the corner, you don't have the advantage of space that you have when you catch it spotting up above the break. That's the difference. On the corner, the baseline is there. You obviously can't go out of bounds. So there's pretty much minimal tricks you can do other than just blowing by somebody. It's a more true measure of athleticism, in my opinion, than closeout attacks above the break. And we'll look at a couple of above the break ones, because above the break lets you use craft to kind of attack defenders when they're drawn to your 3-point gravity. And some of the prospects this year are actually pretty good at that, but not all of them. So let's get into it. Let's continue the video. All right, let's see. I don't even remember the order of these clips, so let's see what happens here. Trey. Here we see Herder last year, catches it, close out. You see how he has to go middle first. He has to go up and then around. That's one way you can use some craft, but it's not optimal because that allows defense to come collapse to you. And if you're not super athletic, they have some time to do that and mess with you, like we saw with Herder right there. Let's look at this one here. Here we have Quickly. He gets a little bit of blow by. Another thing you can do is if you have a good first step, but not a great second or third step, you can use that explosion to get to floater range. That's another solution that some shooters find. Quickly in particular is great at that. He's not going to get above the rim like Grimes, but he is quick enough to hit you with a blow by on the closeout. Let's look at this one here. This one's in the middle, so it's a little different. You see he can use the little hezzy. That's what I was talking about. In terms of using craft, you can play around a little bit with your ball handling a little bit more when you're attacking closeouts in the middle of the floor. All right, 2023 class. My son Jordan Hawkins for UConn. The boom. Arguably the best shooter in the class. You saw the lefty hezzy there. The shot didn't drop, but it was a great attempt. He's athletic in space, but he's still a pretty skinny dude. He's 20, but he looks like he's 15. You can see in the middle he has some craft there on the hezzy. But does he have the athleticism to do that from the corners? I don't know. Let's see. There you see him. He drew the foul, but the athleticism isn't bad, but it's a little work in craft. You can see a work in progress. You can see he prefers the craft a little bit. All right, different player here. Let's look at Jalen Hood-Schifino from Indiana. Above the break, pump, 2 dribbles, Marbury finish, tucking the ball, doesn't quite get above the rim. Here, this one was above the break, but it was pretty much a straight line drive, and you can see what happens when you're not that athletic and you can't get really high like Grimes. That's why Hood-Schifino normally relies on the mid-range game so much, because he's not that quite level of an athlete despite being a great shooter. Let's look at this one. He gets stuck with a one-on-one sequence, has a great blow by though. So you can still play around if you have some timing and craft from the corner. It's just a little bit harder. All right, let's look at this one here. Swing, 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 fake, baseline open, Euro step to the finish. So there are some ways to use craft if you're not the burstiest from the corner. All right, let's look at Grady Dick here, close-up view. That was a beautiful move. Can I rewind that, John? Let me see. I don't even. Dang. All right. Well, the stutter rip, but you see he's not quite fast enough to blow straight by him, so he has to rely on the size and the craft. The good news, he has the size and the craft. Let's look at Grady again on this possession. There he holds. Boom. Solid. He's a very underrated athlete, and when you're 6'9" or whatever like he is, the bar for how athletic you have to be gets lower. Here you go. He gets the screen. Doesn't have the vertical athleticism. You see him get turned around, and the defense helped. So you can see he still lives a little bit wanting from the corner athletically. That's not the main appeal. Who are we watching here? Oh, Chris Murray from Iowa. Real quick about Grady. Like, obviously, you're not drafting Grady Dick so he can speedily destroy closeouts from the corner, but it's still a useful exercise when you're evaluating these players, to me anyway. Chris Murray, let's go. Not the fastest there. Kind of just tried to use craft and failed. Not great. Let's look at another Chris. This is Keegan's twin brother, by the way, for those who don't know. There he holds, uses his strength, and kind of flips it up. So strength also helps on these baseline drives. That's another factor in athleticism. You see, Chris doesn't like to get it and go. He holds and then likes to use his strength. That works against college players. Is that going to work to beat closeouts in the NBA? Sometimes. We see RJ do that a fair bit. This is Taylor Hendricks, who started out as a 4-star player who some folks heard of and is now probably going to be a lottery pick. Big wing at a UCF, power forward. Big, 6'9", 6'10", hops. Plays a lot of center. Here he uses his strength, but gets pushed off his spot. Doesn't have the speed. He's going to be in that corner shooting a lot as a stretch 4, stretch 5. Let's look at Taylor again. Catch it here. Catch, hold. Defender stays with him. Can't do nothing with it. He doesn't have the ball skills and the athleticism to really kill from the corner. Here he goes middle, which is a little easier for him, right? Because he's got that kind of size and that space benefits him. Again, he's a great 3-and-D big wing, but he can jump, but I don't know if he has that kind of athleticism. Now let's look at Max Lewis. Pump, fake. You see him use the craft of the dribble coming from the top. That's what I meant about having more space there. All right, Max Lewis again. Swing, swing. This one's above the break. Because he's a primary offensive threat for Pepperdine, he doesn't stand in the corner as much as some of these other guys. And because Pepperdine doesn't really know what they're doing. So we don't have as much footage of him just waiting to attack closeouts in the corner. With his advantage is his size, right? He's big like Taylor Hendricks, but a little more mobile on offense. You see with one dribble and 2 steps, he gets to the rim pretty easily. So he's more athletic than he's given credit for. And now I wish I did an updated version of this video because Duke has been killing it and Dariq Whitehead has been playing much better of late, getting healthier. Let's look at some earlier in the season, Dariq Whitehead attacking these closeouts. He's right here in the left corner. Swing, swing, hold it. Has to get to the pull-up because he doesn't blow by his man. That's kind of the worry with Dariq is he going to regain his athleticism? Here he tries to beat a man off the dribble, and it works because he's a great shooter. So, he can pull it off, and perhaps there's some athleticism there waiting to be unlocked. Anyhow, I just wanted to show y'all some examples of how to scout for this particular type of functional athleticism. I think it's a great measure of downhill athleticism. Anytime I'm looking at a player who's not going to have the ball in their hands a ton, this is one of the first things I do to kind of assess their ability to just take advantage of advantages created by other players. Corner closeouts, don't sleep on them. Check them out during March Madness. Let me know what you think at _Presidente on Twitter. And that is that, folks.